Very nice candlesticks being printed here. Let's look on the 5 minutes. Looks a little bit like Nvidia yesterday, right? At 420 they came out, had a big nuke down, and then a little bit of a dead cat bounce back, and then dwindling that back down again. So just seeing the green candle here does not seem convincing. It actually seems to me like we're probably coming to these lines here to test them into resistance before continuing to the lower lines. As simple as that. Let me take a look at DELL here on the 3 minute. Looks like it's stagnating a little bit. I mean, shorts do look put offside here to say it at the least. Even if it comes down, it's likely gonna hold 113. Nice one. It's also just shocking to see how much money is actually in Nvidia. If you kind of look at the market cap, especially, you see Dell here at 83 billion. That's of course that's a lot of money. But if you, it's just another magnitude. If you see Nvidia with its $3 trillion of money there in the system, that's crazy. What's up, Mr. Porter? Happy to see you, man. Here to follow along with some Dell and Lulu price action. We can also take a look, of course, at the others, but I'm not in a rush here today, so right to focus on these two first. I know you like Dell, Daddy Dell, bro. I mean, it's not that I like it, but when it was coming down to, yeah, after making a new all-time high, that's where I'm interested. Let's put in 1/3 chart, MRVL. 1, 2. See. MRVL. Marvel reports second quarter fiscal year. Yeah, we know. That's why we're here. Looks like they're up significantly after the close. Let's investigate this, shall we? That looks like one very good chart that is looking to run back up. Let's see. There's going to be a way to 78.37. That's going to be at the very least, an important target. Let me see on the 5 minute here. And that's where I think they're trying to get this to 78.37. Especially if this candle here could close above the open of the last one, that's going to be a very good look. So I want to be kind of course, not too quick here, but that's already starting to look good. And of course, we have a little gap here as well. Actually, between 4 and 405, a little gap. There's some overlap with the wicks, but this right here. If we would get back below 71, however, I would say that's a reason to basically not run to 78.37 in the short term anymore. So I'll put a level there at 71.02. That would be what we want to hold above for sure. And after we get to 78, I mean, honestly speaking, this is one of those charts that looks like it's probably going to want to move back to its all-time high. And that sits here at 92.71. So we have some room to work with. That's interesting. Let's go to the 5 minute again. If this was regular trading hours, then I might, and especially if this was a kill zone, I would take a trade. But after hours on earnings report, I'm just not. I'm not going to get baited into putting my hard-earned money something after hours when the liquidity is just not ideal. I want to trade when the most amount of liquidity is in the system and when I have the most amount of probability. But nonetheless, I will put in this position just for an idea, and that would only be after we close a 5 minute candlestick above the open price of the previous 5 minute candlestick. Then that previous candlestick open could be a long entry aiming for 78.37, with a stop loss, for example, at 71 bucks there, 70.96. That would also be the level that if we get below it, it would become sketchy. We might very well dwindle down to 69 and so on and so forth. And at that point, probably wouldn't want to be in it for a day trade at least. I'm going to follow up here a little bit. So Lulu with the volatility down, up, down, but seems like more down than up, right? Very, very similar to the NVIDIA move. Big nuke down, and then you get that automatic spring point because, of course, imagine piling in on a candlestick short after it's just dropped 15% in a minute or so. I mean, that's not supposed to be rewarded, and then it flips back up, but ultimately wouldn't surprise me to see this come back to, at the very least, the May 5th low here. Falls after cutting, yes, we know, cutting their annual sales forecast. Good. And DELL just hanging out here and consistently closing 5-minute candlesticks above our resistance is definitely a sign of strength. That's a good look. Maybe put it like this: the market cap view. I always find it interesting to know just how much money is in it, and market cap. So what that is the amount of shares times the share price. So if the share price goes up and down, the market capitalization will change because, as I said, market cap is the amount of total shares times the price. And for crypto is the total amount of coins in circulation times the price. So it's not that market cap really is going to tell you anything different. It's just going to show you very specifically how much money has left this company on a candlestick. And I personally find that an interesting thing to look at. So I'll put it as well. And it's just on TradingView, for example, with their official one. So it's not a community script. I'm typically also not a fan of any community scripted indicator unless it's really something like that you trust from a source. Like, for example, StocksBuddy, you know where that's coming from. But most of these things, you actually don't know where it's coming from. And so when you go to TradingView and the technicals, they have a whole bunch of official ones. And that's mainly the things that I tend to look at if I look at anything at all. Let's see. I mean, the earnings overall are most certainly not disappointing. Just a couple of companies, but those charts from the companies whose earnings weren't that great, basically the chart suggested that, right? So at this point, let's see 5-minute candle close above 73.14. It wouldn't surprise me to now see that push up, but we'll see. And then for DELL, my preferred scenario would actually be that we don't immediately run to 130, just so that we can maybe catch more of a part of the move tomorrow during regular hours, and then I would look for a pullback into 112.79 to 114, and I would like to see something like this. Not just one straight line up, even though that's also fine. Just then I'll be not as allocated in DELL as I want to be. Let's put this off. That would be ideal. See, is there anything else? DELL, Marvel, Autodesk. Let's quickly take out the middle chart here and have a peek at what this is doing. So another example of a bullish chart. And so once again, this 5-minute candlestick increases in price from, let's see, 258 to 272. And this shows you exactly that, well, how much money was added? 3 billion in 5 minutes. So the amounts of money that are flowing in and out of this market is staggering, of course. Let's see, where are we heading to for Autodesk? Very likely to the high of March 1st here. So to 280, I think, 279.53. Let's take a look on the 15 minutes, on the 5 minutes. I mean, we've already got the big way there. But I would basically apply the same logic on Autodesk here as what I was showing on Marvel. So see this red candle, and then close a candlestick above the open price. this would be kind of my logic. If it closes above 272.5, to look for a move from 272.5 to basically 280. That's a 2.5% move, essentially something like this. So let's put that to 279.53. And stop loss would be on this low, because there's a ton of room here below 269.5 to fall back into the mid low 60s, high 50s as well. And so that would be my idea. And of course, you can kind of see it's very, very similar. And both Marvel and Autodesk, both companies, have never ever looked at these charts really. So it's not that difficult to find a trade setup. It's very often just the same thing, the same logic, same kind of typical, similar scenario, asks for a similar approach. But good. Let's see. Let's put the fourth one back on here, Lulu, and kind of stick around for a little bit longer. Maybe another 10, 15 minutes or so before calling it a day. It's always annoying when my levels disappear if I go to put in the fourth chart. Let me get all of these things. Get it here again. There's my levels again. That's better. I mean, there's not that terribly much to say, especially because I'm not your fundamental guru. Let's see, keep reading. Let's try. For the second quarter of fiscal 2025, Dell reported $25 billion of revenue, up. Of course, you guys can read as well, right? Up 9.9% year over year. So let's just look up, 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 up. Looks like all of the things that they've reported on revenue, operating income, earnings per share, it's all up, up, up year over year. So it seems decent. I'm really not the person to read through all of this, but I know some people to stick with it. Anyways, looks good. And the price action is kind of supporting that idea, right? So at this point, it would also be nice to see Dell kind of cool down a little bit, create a little bit of a resistance, which we can then get above later on. Right. Just make sure that Lulu is on my watch list. I want that tomorrow to be on the top. And just looking at my watch list, seeing what things have done today. Minus 10% for Weight Watchers. That's really becoming that stuff is really going to zero, it seems. Maybe even literally, right? Who knows? Because if they spend too much time trading below their dollar, they might very well get delisting emails by the Nasdaq. I believe they're traded on Nasdaq. Let me, yes, traded on Nasdaq. Seems like an overall nice and green day. Coinbase below $200, probably will need to investigate that sometime soon as well. See, good. Looks like a strong recovery here at this point, undeniable by Lulu. This is starting to look like a little bit of a V-shaped recovery. So there's 243 level, the place where it stopped. Very interested to see where this is going to open up tomorrow. Let's see. So I would say this is a little important level. If I just zoom out a little bit, this 263.25, right? You can kind of see that we held there on yesterday. So yesterday it was a little bit of a bounce spot. We dropped below it, consolidation. We tested it as resistance, consolidation, resistance, big smash. So it seems to me like 263.25 is going to be the level to get above. This is starting to look also just from a 4-hour view an impressive candlestick at this point, right? So probably some guy is talking and giving some really good forward guidance or however they want to call that. But this might very well end up well. So I also want to take a look just at how much volume came in here. That's going to give an idea of just how much, and also volume delta. That's what we can put in. Kind of see here, open, low. So 21,553,000 market sells more than market buys. So that's a ton of shares that have basically exchanged hands on that little 5-minute candlestick. Well, little huge 5-minute candlestick. So if we just hover over this candlestick, look at volume 40.259, that's the total amount of shares that were traded in that 5-minute candlestick. And if we look at the bottom here, volume delta, it's basically going to show me how much more selling than buying there was. And it's basically showing me 21,553,000 more market sells than market buys, and market sells, those are stop losses, long positions, and those are also short positions that are opening up. So tons of long stopped out, and shorts opened on that 5 minutes, and that's not a good look if you're short at this point. I would actually think that if we're going to get above 263.25, that this might have picked up the liquidity that it needs to run significantly higher. Would need to go to a little bit of a higher time frame to see how high though. Let's see. Also, let's kind of measure out the move from the top this year to the bottom. Also about 56%. So both Dell and Lulu, they're basically down more than 50%. Let's see, if we get above 263.25, I would imagine that this thing pushes for 280. And that is going to be something that I'll be looking to be a part of. So I'm going to keep it very simple. Let's go back to the 15-minute here. And this is not something that I'm going to, I'm not doing anything after hours. I'll repeat that. But the move from 263.25 into 281, 7% move, I would be interested in that. But I would need to see tomorrow between 10 and 11 if I can get an entry and if we have not made our way already there. But 281 would be a very reasonable target if, and that's only if, we clear and hold 263.25 here. That's don't always see a V-shaped recovery, but whenever I see it, I'm always impressed by just how many people basically got reckoned on that little 5-minute candlestick. Come back just to see you're stopped out and prices again, basically where they've entered, for example. So it's a very nasty move, but that's of course daily business in the stock market. Nasty moves. Let's see. Is there anything lastly that we got to check on? Dell, Marvel, Autodesk, Lulu. I mean, that's most of the high cap names of the day covered, right? So I think that's good. So tons of volume from the after 4 p.m. and then just kind of sitting at where it's at. So the market's made its move and is very likely not going to move that much terribly higher or lower from here. Definitely going to keep up with these names. I really find that to be like a very nice tactic, even just for day trading in the week. I find myself very often taking a trade actually on one of the tickers that I was looking at for the earnings, kind of preparing, setting alerts, and then either tomorrow, next week, or days, not in a few days because it's weekend, but maybe tomorrow or next week, this is very likely that I'll get myself my hands on some of these stickers. Marvel stock climbs as earnings report brings an improved growth forecast. Great. That's well, sounds good, right? For Marvel. Mm, 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 mm. Interesting. So is this gonna just continue in one straight line to 280? Very possible, right? That is something. I'd say Dell definitely the most impressive, just solid, strong, and decent move from their earnings. The least sketchy one. And also interesting to, well, happy to see that my lower level here at 108.88 got respected. Just tells you that you're looking at the right level if you see price reacting from it like that. It's basically if you ever have a level on your chart, right? And you see that price is coming exactly to it and that it's kind of respecting your level, then you basically it's a confirmation for yourself that you're on the right path and that you should keep doing what you're doing. Mm, 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 mm. There is actually some volatility, so that's it's not worth to just jump off yet. This might very well still make a move. Mm, 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 mm. Let's see. About to get this 5 minute close above 263.25 here, so it's just more likely that it continues to keep pushing up rather than that it loses 250 here. So I would imagine that 250 holds, that this keeps going. All the way back at almost the highs that we've made here, just what, half an hour ago. That's a very eventful hour for this stock. The ideal reaction here would be to basically come down, get below this level, but not close below. So to basically get below and then wick and keep going. I'll let this 5 minute candlestick print and then watch one more and then we'll basically call it a day. So that means about 8 more minutes. I want to see this one and then the next one, and that's going to be good enough. So the news coming in with what we already read, Dell revenue, EPS, all beat, accelerating AI momentum and more. So looks like the AI term is pulled out again. Do we actually have any move on Nvidia after hours, I wonder? Let's see. Nothing really. little bit of up after the close, but yeah, this chart looks like it's gonna come back down to test the bottom that it's made there yesterday after hours, at the very least, right? So what did we come to yesterday? 115, and then again to 115. So we came to 115.01 twice. It seems very unlikely to me that we won't get below that. So we will probably get below that, is what I mean. And maybe it's a very good time for Nvidia to kind of cool down a bit, and stop taking up all the attention, literally all the attention, and actually have some outflow of money to other tickers that maybe they have good earnings, and it's time for something else. That wouldn't be bad. Also, just everybody's so focused on Nvidia to the point where it wouldn't be a shame if it just does nothing for a while, and if it kind of the money flows out into other things, such as, for example, Dell. Let's go back to the 5 minute here. Right. Well, it's actually it's a little bit like watching paint dry at this point, but still, there's some life in it. Sometimes it's really like after half an hour, everything is completely dead. Kind of what we're seeing here at Marvel, just candlestick bodies becoming smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. Basically shows you that the volatility is going down and down and down. But I would say for Lulu and Dell, they are both in a position where they're really still there's a potential to see another $15 move up for Lulu, or a little $5 pullback for Dell, and then more up. Or maybe we just get above 120.5 and keep going. That's also possible. After all, basically, what is the summary? Everything looks quite good, right? After some initial volatility, all of these things are now trading above where they basically closed the regular trading hours today. So all of it, right? Dell is, Lulu is, Marvelous, and I believe that Autodesk was as well, right? Was also, yeah, trading well above where it closed today. So is the stock market bearish? I think just earnings can, at least the earnings results here and the price action kind of gives an insight into that. Stock market is most certainly not bearish. If the stock market was bearish, then whether these earnings would be good or bad wouldn't matter. It would just get sold off. That's what you saw, for example, in 2022, when just everything synchronistically is bearish. But that's definitely no longer the case. Good. We're in our last 5 minute candlestick here of the stream. See if we can get anything substantial. But yeah. Absolutely agree, Mr. Porter. Let me actually check that for us. When does Disney have their earnings? They actually had earnings, let's see, on August 7th, it seems. My God, this looks like a bearish chart, right? This is, yeah. It's not because it's not going to, it's not because it didn't go to way lower levels earlier that it's not still gonna go there. So maybe we need a year of patience, but the bears on this shit will be right, in my opinion, on Disney. This is absolutely the last thing that I would add to a portfolio. But of course, I also won't deny that the move from 78.5 here all the way back up into 125. That's a nice $50 move, but it's not a bullish move. It's a move up to basically allow people to sell at 125 that need to sell. And I'm basically giving you the trajectory here for the Disney chart. Something like this, where it gets to the low 60s, maybe sees a bounce back up into the 80s. Oh, we're so back, and then it continues back down. So that would be my idea for Disney. I could leave it on like this. I could do absolutely nothing and come back in, let's see, in a few years, and we're trading at $50, man. I'm definitely not a fan of this at all. I also believe this is a dividend company, but doesn't make it. The fact that something pays out a dividend does not make it a good buy, right? That should also be needless to say. There's more that comes into it, but let's see, 45 cents. So the dividend which they pay, at least from what I have lastly checked, is it's about double than what Apple is paying. Yet they're trading at less than half the price. And I would need to look at the market caps, but the fact that Disney is paying such a dividend, I mean, it doesn't make it bullish. Like, once again, yeah, you're getting paid to hold something, but if you're getting paid to hold something that goes from $90 to $60, you're going to need a whole lot of dividend to make up for that. If not to say that it's actually impossible. But good, let's go back to Lulu to kind of end it off here last minute. Let's see, we're back below 263.25. I like that because that means that the move here between this level and that level, if they just run it like immediately like now, then yeah, the move is over. But if we can chop around a little bit and then get back above it, then hold it, and if that can happen during a regular trading hours, then that's going to be something to be attentive of. Also wanted to check just quickly SMCI and where that's at the moment. I saw that had a very significant move today off the open, right? Very nice one. All the way back to 475. Good. Anyways, that's nothing earnings related. So I mean, that's all really for me for today for these earnings sessions. I hope it was helpful. Gonna give some insight into these stickers, their market cap, the levels, etc. And I will be seeing you all tomorrow in the server. Looks like Marvel. The moment I'm looking to get off, of course, we see a candle that is obviously then way bigger than the previous ones, but it's not going to incentivize me to stay much longer. So wish you all a nice rest of your evening or whatever time of day it is for you. And I'll see you premium members tomorrow in the premium section. Bye-bye.